Hey Jack, I want to talk about Microsoft deliverability. It's a big thing at the moment, and people can't
Let's
send with Microsoft.
let's do it. What do we need to know? What is the headline flashing across every cold emailer's news feed right now?
Bounces from Microsoft. Basically, it's what we call sender bounces. So someone tried to send, and Microsoft said, "No, I'm not going to send your email. It looks like spam."
That
That's
is
scary.
important, and you're the guy to debrief us on. And with that, should we throw a timer up?
Yes, we definitely should. So
Let's
we
keep
don't.
it focused on 10 minutes and let's make sure to get the whole story as well as any tips you have for the listener to make sure they can keep getting those replies thereafter.
Yeah, so this is something that is not so new. It happened like a couple of months ago, sporadically. And then we had like some people reporting like, hey, my emails are not getting sent. And so they have to reach out to Microsoft support and tell them like, hey, that's fine. We should still be able to send. And so they re-enable their accounts. But if they do a certain things, then we'll block again, right? And it's very frustrating, but I think it's part of what Microsoft is doing right now in order to prevent spamming or unsolicited
Right.
bulk email sending. She's not
Now
necessarily spamming.
correct. Now you mentioned that this has been happening sporadically. When did it start and what was it like in the first phase and how is it different now?
Oh, that's a great question. In first phase, it was very aggressive. So a lot of people were hit, like bam, 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 bam. Since then, Microsoft I think it was mid-October, mid-August when this happened, or when it started to be serious. And then what happened is that it sort of like notched it down a bit because probably they had like too much support of
Too many
everyone. Just
complaints.
like, yeah, it's just like,
Right.
what the hell? What
Right.
you doing? Because at the end of the day, those are paying customers, right? So with
Yeah.
Outlook, they just like close the account and then that's it, job done, moving on. But with people who pay, it's a little bit of a different story. And some people are paying big bucks. Um, oh, I have other
Because
things
they
to tell
have
you about this,
because
but
they have dozens of inboxes, right?
that's right.
Exactly.
And dozen, yeah, like hundreds of inboxes, right? So that brings a lot of money. And so they notched it down a little bit. We knew for a long time that Microsoft was using different IP pools. Like if they deem you as like, this guy is a bit
Average.
sketchy, yeah, let's put him on a
Yeah.
shit pool, you know. And
Right.
then
Right.
yeah, I mean that's it.
Which is standard practice as an ESP, as
That's
far as
very
I
true.
understand.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
very, very true. Also, I'm not
But
sure Gmail does it, to be honest. So, but that's
okay.
different,
Now
different question.
let me ask the dumb questions. This is only for people that have a Microsoft paid account or maybe free account. But like if you're sending through Gmail, are you unscathed? Are you sitting there saying, who cares about this?
Gmail has its own set of problems. Today, I'd like to focus purely on Microsoft.
Let's hit it.
Okay. So, so they notch it down a little bit, but it still happens. Now we managed to figure out two reasons why this happens. And basically, if we give those advice to our customers, usually they get around and then actually don't have that many problems. In fact, we have a lot of people coming us from different senders saying like, "Hey, we've been blocked. We want to try with QuickMail if we're getting blocked too." So those kind of like logical reaction, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so there's two things that seems to be triggering it. The first one is spikes. Sounds stupid as that, but spikes in volumes. And if you think about it, it's actually making sense, right? If you're a spammer, you're
Yeah.
getting hit by a
Irregular
virus.
traffic. Hmm.
Exactly, irregular traffic.
So, what would you count as an irregularity? You typically send in 50 a day and then you send 500, or is it a little bit more subtle than that?
Yes, it's around those lines, and I think people get hit with follow-ups. Like they start like sending a lot of emails. Well, first of all, they need to ramp it slowly, right? But like even if you start at 50, it's too much already. You have to start slowly to that 50 because I think they have like a sort of like if there is a deviation between what you're currently sending and what you're sending now that is like too sudden, too strong, maybe like the percentage
Yeah.
or whatever they're doing, then suddenly they like we block it. Just in case, you could have been hit by a virus and the virus starts sending emails. So they want
Yeah.
to do that. That's the first thing that we noticed. And so when we tell people like, hey, ramp up like much slower, do pay attention to your follow-ups, because obviously if you have like a very aggressive follow-up sequence,
That counts
then
towards your volume.
exactly, right? That's very important. Also, the other thing that people do by mistakes is they register to a lot of auto warm up, or they have the same auto warm up and they crank it up, like, oh, let's send 500 emails a day. We're sure we're not going to be flagged as spam. That's true, but you're gonna trigger some alerts, and then you risk your account being blocked.
Interesting. So let's not forget auto warmers count towards your total sending
Yeah.
volume.
100%.
Okay, so that's one thing is volume fluctuations, irregularities. What's the second?
The second one is very interesting. We got time for a small story. We got 5 minutes for one item.
Jeremy, I know the guy who runs this podcast. I can tell him to like extend this episode if we need to.
Okay, it's
And
a
by
very
the way,
small story.
it's brought to you by quickmail.com and salesthread.com.
And
There you go.
SalesBread. That's
Yeah,
right.
we'll talk to those guys. Go ahead. Tell us the story.
I was in Japan, woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, shit, it would be great to find a way to send unique message for each prospect I'm sending email to. It's like, bear in mind, it's 3 o'clock, I'm in Tokyo, just waking up in my hotel, and I'm thinking that, right? So it's like I live and breathe, like cold outreach.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shit, we could do it with AI. And so I just woke up and I started actually just designing the thing and programming the thing. And 12 hours later, I shit you not, 12 hours later, it was in production and we enabled it for campaigns. Basically what it is, we call it Reword. And basically what we do is like you reword with AI. Every email we're sending, we're actually just using OpenAI to say like, hey, can you rephrase this, slightly, whatever, something like that. And it actually freaking works. And I can show you, obviously, like it's not great on this podcast, but I can show you like all the small messages. Even for one-liner, it's actually pretty cool. They just generate like unique messages.
So it really is about a static message and how many times that static message is sent. Is that right?
For Microsoft? All right, coming back to Microsoft, we realized that if we give the feedback to enable reword on your outputs, so they won't actually look the same, and we say avoid spikes, and in fact, we may actually just put that intelligence at some point in QuickMail because I think it makes sense. But right now it's a bit difficult. You can still control everything, but it's still, difficult to do it automatically.
The user can control for spikes.
The user can control, but there is no
Max
intelligence
daily
to control.
sends.
Exactly. Speed at which you're sending, things like that. But we need to do that anyway. But if you do avoid spikes and you rewrite like all your messages are unique or like are very different than just like, hey, hi, hello type of thing, or the name, then actually just leads to people being able to have their campaign uninterrupted. And I think that's really good news.
I would say so. It's a little surprising because it means that, like, I'll kind of take it for granted that most cold emailers have some level of dynamic content, even if it's just a name and a company. Now, granted, it means that now that the calculus for letting a message go through might look something like this, which has never happened before, which is, has a high percentage of this text been sent out quite a lot lately?
Exactly, that's what I think. Because if you think about it again, from the point of view of Microsoft, it's like they imagine people to just either get infected by a virus and then start blasting, blam, 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 like always the same sort of like messages, right?
I keep coming back to the virus thing. I feel like maybe they're just trying to lock down on cold email.
That's true. The reason why I say virus is because those are the things that historically triggered some
Is that
alarms.
right? Okay. You may be right.
Right.
I would like to think that.
I believe that it's the same sort of like technology on the back end that they're using for triggering.
Yeah, why don't the
signals.
virus people use the same damn thing to catch it? Come on. It's
Stupid, right?
Whatever.
I think you don't have to use QuickMail and Reword with AI, but you have to use spin tags as much as you can Right. On it just happened that AI just do it automatically. You just write it once, boom, you click reword, and then it does it. Right.
There
You
you
don't need to
go.
do spin text with all your lines and all your things
Fair
because it
enough.
becomes like really hard to maintain as well and read.
Right.
So
Now, have you reviewed the AI shuffling and seen like a weird version?
no, I didn't. I didn't see any weird version, to be honest.
Cool.
But bear in mind that it's still small scope. Like a few of our users are using it. I use it
Yeah,
myself,
yeah.
but it's not like what I mean. I'm pretty smart, savvy, with cold outreach. So I'm not like doing super complicated stuff that actually are hard to interpret
So
with AI.
humble, so humble,
Oh
right?
man. But it's like, for example, here's one I'm doing, like you can understand. Like a follow-up, we also enable AI on a follow-up. And the follow-up is just like, hey, PS including our founders, and then it CCs me. But then now it becomes like, hey, PS, adding, our
The
founders
owner of the
or
company.
the owner of the company and all those sort of thing. And it actually just like keeps shuffling those words, even for it's a one-liner, very small. So
And the repetition is zero. It will never say the same phrase twice.
yes and no. So basically, it will, with like just that one liner is like super hard to actually do a lot of, infinite iteration on this. But as you add lines, that's pretty
Cool.
good. And I think the important thing that
Yeah,
I personally see with AI is that the message stays the same. The words change, but the essence stays the same. And I didn't
I
actually
love
notice any
that.
big difference.
I love that. Now, that sounds like good news to the folks that are depending on Microsoft Sends, right? All you have to do is be careful of the sending volume fluctuations and switch up the text with quick mail spin text,
Syntax. Yeah.
AI, or basically those two options. But if
Or
you do
custom
that,
attributes. Maybe you have some,
yeah,
great
don't do
stuff,
that.
but
Yeah, but if you
it's
do
hard to
that,
do a
you're in the
full.
clear.
So far, yes. That's the thing.
Okay, well, that's actionable and frankly not that scary,
Yeah,
right? I mean, the fix is within reach for anyone, really.
that's right.
Um,
The
that's
last
good
thing
news.
actually that we also introduced just in case is we realize when there is a sender bounce and now we pause it automatically. So rather than actually keeping on
Smart,
trying to send and say, hey, sorry, this keeps bouncing, and then you end up
smart.
with like 500 bounce, which
Yeah, my
happened
God.
to us in August. That's how actually we
Right.
realized it. You know,
Yeah. Hmm.
now we actually just pause your inbox and say, hey, you need to check out your inbox.
And you check it out, and then in theory, you're good to go. What, like couple days, couple weeks? What's the cool down?
Ah, good question. We have an article about this. So when we actually just realize it, we send you like an email with like all the things to do and stuff and all the advice.
Cool.
Um, I'm not sure, actually. Most people actually just contact, Microsoft support, which I'm sorry is like contacting hell.
It really is. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like
No
two
one likes to
things
do
are
that.
true. They make the support docs very difficult to understand. And then when you ask for support to help you with the docs that were not helpful, you then enter a another world that is very hard to understand and frustrating to live in. But hang tight. That there is a solution out there.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I'm glad you found that out for us. You kind of
Yeah.
shortcutted. Cool. So,
Because I still
what do
recommend
you?
to use both, right? This is the thing. You
Cool.
should you should diversify your sending. So you're
Okay,
not
I like
depending on
that.
just Microsoft. Like for example, when it happened to us, we switched to our Google inboxes, and then that was the
There you
end of
go.
it.
Now, I like that. As we wrap, Jeremy, what are you going to be paying attention to in the coming months to see how this develops?
Will I? Or
Yeah,
sorry,
what
what
are
was
you
the
going to be
question?
paying attention
As a
to see how
user
this develops?
or on
Just as
QuickMail?
someone keeping tabs on the Outlook story,
Oh yeah, well, I stay very close to our customers, right? So they tell me anytime,
right?
they hit something like a roadblock or whatever, I get,
Cool.
I get notified very quickly. The other thing is we're also monitoring the bounces code that you have, so that way we could actually figure out if there is an increase or
Troubleshoot.
not. Yeah,
All right, there you go. So I smell a follow up podcast to this.
I'm thinking so.
Um, I
Or
like
maybe
that.
we'll
I
do the
want to.
Google version.
That sounds good too. All right, cool. Well, thanks for dropping the knowledge today. And Yeah, appreciate it, Jeremy. So if you're listening by this far, check out course.quickmail.io for the course form of the podcast. If you want to send like the pros, you're going to use Quickmail. And if you want someone to do it for you, that's where SalesBreak comes in. Jeremy, thanks for a great show.
100%. Thanks, Jack.
Cool. See ya.